What's up everybody? For today's big restoration project, we got these 2001 Bred Jordan 1s. These things are cooked, but the worst thing about these is the soles. Somebody went in and horribly glued on a thin piece of rubber that looks like a Jordan 1 sole and covered up all this heel drag and called it a fix. Now I have to go in and fix it. We gotta replace the entire sole with a brand new authentic Jordan 1 sole. Let's get started. Before we get started with the restoration work, I want to talk to you guys about this 2001 retro. It's very different from the 1985 version, the first retro, the 1994, and the newer stuff. For example, let's talk about the swooshes. It is made out of nubuck material, and almost every single pair that it's worn is completely cracked. The collar area is a lot shorter. The overall height of the sneaker is a lot shorter as well. When it comes to the tongue on the back, there is a label. The shoe is limited. They only came out with 38,345 pairs. This pair is numbered 20,643. Lastly, the leather that they use for the 2001 retro is on the cheaper side. It creases horribly in my opinion. Check out the toe boxes, specifically on this one. And on the collar areas, there is a lot of creasing as well. Now the condition of this sneaker is heavily worn. There is a lot of creases. There is some scuffs on the side panels. On the swooshes, there's a lot of cracking going on, but the owner wants to keep some of that original patina. They are from 2001. We're not trying to make them look brand new, but we are trying to make them wearable. At the moment, they are not. There's a lot of separation going on all around the sides. On the inside of the sole, the polyurethane is completely crumbled, making it super uncomfortable to wear. Not to mention, this extra piece of rubber on the back is super uncomfortable to walk on. There's some stuff in the way before we could get started. Let's take out the laces and insoles. Not the original insoles. Time to get rid of this old sole. We're gonna be using an X-Acto knife to chop off all the old stitching. This part's gonna be real easy. The upper should come right off. What you see right there is a big piece of glue that's holding the upper onto the sole. It seeped in when they were gluing on that extra piece of rubber from the outside in. On the inside, you can see how big that hole was. I don't even know how your shoes get to that point. Uppers are off. Check out the insides of these old soles. Broken down polyurethane and air unit. Stuff that once made these shoes comfortable is now completely deteriorated. This is gonna happen to all shoes that contain these materials. It's inevitable with time. Luckily in the new donors, it comes with brand new polyurethane and air units, so these shoes are gonna be good for years to come. Let's go ahead and clean up all this stuff up. On the uppers, we gotta get rid of all this old stuff and stitching before we can move forward with the prep work. So far so good. We got the old soles removed from the 2001s. Those are trash. We still have to do the prep work on the uppers, but we'll come back to that later. Next up, we're gonna be working on the donors. This is the Jordan 1 low that we got from the store. All we need them for is the soles. We gotta rip off the uppers. First, we're gonna take out the laces and insoles, and with an X-Acto knife from the inside, cut up the stitching. So after that, we can lay down some acetone and get the upper off. During this step, we're just taking care of the black thread, not the white thread. The black thread is what's connected to the white thread on the outside of the midsole. We're just chopping up the inside because we don't care about the upper. It's trash anyway. The stitching on the midsole is part one of what's holding the shoe together. Now we gotta melt the glue. We're gonna go outside, pour a lot of acetone on the inside, let it break down the glue, go back outside in about 15 minutes, throw some more acetone inside, and then rip the upper off. So the shoe's still intact. I added a bunch of acetone a good 3 times. It's still not coming apart. So we're gonna go back inside with the steamer. Hopefully some heat will separate it. After you pour acetone into the shoes and use the steamer, make sure you do this in a well-ventilated area or with the mask because this stuff reeks. Also, what makes this process a lot easier to separate is by using a bone or steel folder to separate all the edges. Donor soles are good to go. We got the uppers off. Took a little bit of work. As you can see on the inside, we got some brand new polyurethane and an air unit inside. These still need some work. We still gotta go in and remove all the old glue and age the sole as well. As you can see, as is, It is a nice perfect fit, but this white is too brand new for these aged uppers, so later on we will age it. Now we're back to the uppers. We do need to do some prep work. As you can see on the bottom of the boards, there is a lot of nasty polyurethane still stuck on there. We're gonna heat it up, and then with the scraper, we'll scrape it off. Got the majority of the polyurethane off the bottom. Time for the Dremel. We gotta get all that old glue off all the sides in order for that glue to stick properly. We're done with the prep work on the uppers for now. Now we're back onto the soles. Before we can go in and remove all the glue from the inside, we gotta age these. As is, they're a bit too white for the 2001 retro. I don't wanna age them too much where they look like they're 85 soles. I just wanna give them a slight cream tone. So once we put them inside, I'm only gonna put them in there for a good 5 minutes or so until I get the tone I like. Once we age the sole, all the glue on the inside is gonna get that creamy tone, and I'll know exactly where to use a Dremel. Good to go with the aging. We put the soles inside the coffee for about 5 to 7 minutes and got a nice consistent cream tone all around, and it's not overdone. Let me show you guys a side-by-side comparison of a sole that's not aged with the sole that's been aged. Now that we're done with that part, we still have to remove all the old glue from the inside of the sole. As you can see, all the darker stuff is glue that's gotta come off. To remove it all without damaging the sole, we're gonna be using a Dremel with a steel drill bit. We wanna go in and remove it all without damaging the rubber itself. All around the rubber, there's a texture to it. If you do too much, it'll take it off and it'll mess with the reglue. Dremeling is complete for the uppers and the soles. We got that nasty thick layer of glue completely off. Right now we have some soft, roughened up leather that's ready for glue. As far as the soles go, same exact thing. The metal drill bit is key to keeping the texture on the soles and getting all that old glue off. During the dremeling process of the uppers, I did end up removing the board from the upper just to get all that glue off, polyurethane, and to have a better prep job. This is okay to do sometimes. If anything, it's gonna make the glue job a lot easier. We still have to complete the prep work by using some acetone and cotton balls to give the soles a final wipe down, and same thing with the board. Time for the glue. We'll apply a nice and even coat all around the upper. For the best bond, we'll apply the glue a millimeter above where I dremeled onto the upper. You won't see it, it's clear. As far as the sole goes, same exact thing all around. For the board, just on the bottom, not on the top. We are gonna be using bar super stick. I did buy one of those big gallons, so that's why it's in this mason jar. FYI, this stuff is yellow now. They changed the formula up a bit. It used to be clear. They said they are going back to clear, but for now it's gonna be yellow. You don't wanna use this stuff on clear soles because the yellow will show, but for this project, it will work. Glue's cured, let's stick everything together. First, we're gonna start with the toe tip on both parts. We're gonna heat it up. We don't need too much heat for this part. We just need enough to get it tacky. Then we'll stick it together. We wanna make sure it's lined up properly first. Then we're gonna let it dry for a few minutes. Then we'll jump to the back, same exact thing. Make sure it's lined up properly. Heat it up, stick it together. After that, we'll take care of both sides. For this process, you don't wanna rush it. Take it step by step. So far so good, everything turned out great, alignment's on point, that's because I took my time. We still need to put these boards inside. For this part, we're gonna slide them in, heat it up, and then with the steel folder, we'll press down to lock it in. Glue job is complete. We let it dry for several hours. Now it's time to add the stitching. We're gonna be using 2 pieces of thread. One of them was already aged to match the tone of the midsole, and the other piece is for the inside. We're gonna be using a sewing awl. We're gonna stick the first piece of thread inside, then tie it onto the second piece, and then we'll go from there. Good to go. These shoes pass the stress test. When it comes to the stress test, you want to make sure there's no little gaps. If there is, tape it off, lay down some more glue, heat it up, and stick it together. It's very important. Now we got to finish off this restoration with a deep clean. They're not super dirty, but this cleaning is going to be beneficial in a few different ways. For one, once you put the shoe trees inside the sneakers and give it a good cleaning, specifically on the toe boxes with our soft bristle brush and our solution and water, let them dry outside. It should remove the majority of the creasing. Right now, as is, it's pretty crushed. But with the cleaning and shoe trees and letting it dry, it should do the trick. Also, our solution contains natural oils. The shoe is on the older side, so once we clean it, it should also recondition the leather. And lastly, I have been working with these shoes a lot these last couple of days. There is some hand grease on these sneakers. Let's clean it all off. Cleaning is complete. We let it dry outside for a good 30 minutes. They're good to go. Like I mentioned, these shoes are from 2001, making them over 20 years old. We want to recondition the leather and keep it as healthy as possible for years to come. So I'm going to lay down a heavy coat of mink oil all over the shoes, let it sit for about an hour so the leather can absorb as much of the mink oil as possible. After that, I'll grab our horsehair brush and brush it in. It's been a couple hours. A lot of that mink oil was absorbed nicely by the leather. I did spray a heavy coat, so a lot of it is still sitting on top. So I'm gonna grab my horsehair brush in a circular motion to push it deeper into the material and remove any excess. All right, that's gonna bring us to an end on how to give these 2001 Bred Jordan 1s a whole new life. These shoes are good for another 20 years. These brand new authentic Jordan 1 soles fit the uppers nicely. They're perfect, they're glued and stitched on properly, and they're full of grip, ready to be worn. What I like about this restoration is that we kept the patina on the uppers. There's not too much of it. We have some scuffs on the inside, obviously cracking on the new buck, but honestly, that's okay. It gives these shoes character and it makes it known that these shoes are from 2001. Let me show you guys real quick a side-by-side comparison of the old sole and the new sole. Huge difference. On the bottom, full of holes, all warped with this fake piece of Jordan 1 sole on it. And over here, it's what it's supposed to look like. Now what's crazy is, in the last 8 years of doing YouTube videos, I've done a lot of restorations on Jordans, but I've never done a restoration on a pair of 2001 Breds. There's still a lot of shoes that I haven't done. If you guys have something cool or rare or something that I've never worked on before, send us an email to the email down below with pictures and a description of what you guys have. If I like what I see, I'll do it for free. But again, I've done a lot of content over the years, so it's something that I've done on the channel, I simply won't do it. Hope you guys enjoyed this video and learned something from it. This is Vic Almighty. I'll catch you guys next Monday. See ya.